Thank you for joining me. This week I'm talking Impractical Jokers. I wanted to be a little bit special for you guys, all my Impractical Jokers fans out there. So I had you guys submit questions on my Twitter and Instagram. Feel free to follow me on there. It's at Joe_Gatto. So please follow me on Instagram and Twitter. That's where I've taken these questions. Let's talk Larry. A silly joke that I did big. The reason why I think Larry hit so hard was it was one of the first time I just went really big. So the way that America saw it, I don't think was the first time that it happened, but it was one of those things where the first time I did it, I think the first time you guys saw it on TV was when I was cutting the line at TKTS and I yelled for Larry and cut everybody. But we shot that the day after we shot in the shoe store where I'm yelling Larry, Aslet size 7. So the way that it came about was I was the last one to go for the day. The day had run really long. We knew we needed something big, and I was going last. And when we film Jokers, there's an order that we normally go in. We have kind of fell into this thing where the order of turns have become where I go last because I normally go big and like ruin the room, and that I think that came from like part of this day. So this day I was going last. I was like, look, nobody else has to go, so I'm just gonna make a complete scene and see what happens. So I just started yelling for Larry, and it just took off, and the guys crumbled, and it became a really fun thing. And then we called back that joke a bunch during the first couple seasons. It's become what Larry has definitely become my biggest joke. It's in the opening credits. It's right up there with like Captain Fat Belly, Scoopski Patatas. Those are probably my 3 big iconic moments. That's one of the questions I got too. What do I consider my biggest moments? Those are definitely them. And I think, we even got to sneak Larry into the movie as a little shout out to our tour too. We did one of our tours was called Where's Larry? So in the flashback of the movie Impractical Jokers, if you haven't seen the movie, it's on HBO Max, go check it out. In the movie we go back and we sneak into past security, we sneak past Jiggy, who is one of our openers, and on Q talks into the walkie-talkie, and the voice comes back. He tells them, we have control of the arena, and the voice comes back and says, who is this? Where's Larry? And that was our little shout out to Larry. And then also the person saying that is actually Simmy Can't Stand You Bits. We got Simmy to do some VO work, and Simmy was the voice inside the walkie-talkie asking, where's Larry? So I would have to say hands down, Larry is my biggest thing I'll be known for my whole life. So that's really probably Impractical Jokers, one of the biggest, what I consider one of my iconic things. Probably one of my favorites that's probably up there too is the Genie. Because the Genie was a kind of fun idea where it was just like, how do we just have Joe wreck stuff and then use my body as a weapon? And it was such a fun idea to get swung around and for them to mix. So for that, I had to have training after they told me I had to have a quick session to learn how to fly, right? So the guy says to me, okay, don't worry. And I was like, all right, what if I flip over? He's like, don't worry, you're not gonna flip over. I was like, okay. I said, I'm not. He said, trust me, the thing is set, there's no way you're flipping over. Of course, if you've seen the cut in the second time they pull me up, I had moved forward a little bit and I flipped over and I was upside down, and you actually see my mic pack fall out of the back of my Genie outfit because I wasn't supposed to flip over. So I thought I was done for there. So that's a little tidbit about the Genie. Captain Fat Belly was pretty interesting too, because for the Captain Fat Belly punishment, I had come up with a punishment for Q where he was into superheroes, and I was like, let's make Q a superhero. And I was gonna do this thing where I was like, how can we make him fly? And we got into this whole thing, and I came up with an idea for it, where to hang him from something or whatever it was, and they told me we couldn't do it because of insurance. And then little did I know that they went and turned that on me and made me Captain Fat Belly and made me save my dogs that were on top of the Roosevelt Island tram. So that was a little interesting too, to have that happen. So those are some of my favorite moments for it. A lot of the jokes are just improvised too, where we make them up on the spot, which I love. I've told the story about a couple that I really love that we've improvised, because you never really know what's gonna happen in the moment, and a lot of it you can't just write. And sometimes like when you go to like places, like there was one when we were working at Carlo's Bakery, and we're on the floor, and I had asked for like a little bit tour before, so you get a feel for the space and you know what's around there. So I asked to say, what was your biggest box? And they showed me this huge wedding cake box that they had, and I said, what's your smallest thing? They had mini cupcakes. So in my mind, I knew when somebody ordered a mini cupcake that we were going to use this big box for them. So when Murr was up, somebody ordered a cupcake, and I said, Murr, put it in this big box that's underneath. And he had no idea this huge box came out, which is one of my funniest bits. So I like playing in this, taking a little tour before each place when we start too. So that you get a lot of inspiration from the places we're at too, which is always fun. Again, on Twitter, it's at Joe_Gatto. And here's the questions that have been submitted for this week's 10 topics with Joey G. Okay, so number one is, how did you guys come up with the show? Impractical Jokers. We legit were eating sandwiches in the apartment where me and Murray lived. So we had come to a point where we had tried different sketch shows, none of them really hit. We started going down this sketch show, actory kind of idea for the Tenderloins to come up with their own show. I really wasn't feeling it that much. And I was like, guys, I don't think I'm gonna do something like this. And then Murray was in development. He had heard about, people are looking for a new type of, punked or prank show at the time. And then we were like, okay, what's our version of a show? And then we're like, you know what? Why don't we do what we always do? We always use this make each other laugh comedy where we're the butt of our own jokes. Let's put that on TV. So we went out and made a sizzle tape. And if any of you have seen us on tour, we actually showed that tape. And it literally was, I went to a packed movie theater at Times Square for a Tyler Perry Presents movie and yelled that I farted and apologized to like the 400 people there. It was all done on our cell phones. The boys went into Victoria's Secret and tried on bras and panties. We went into places and asked to go peeps or poops. It was just all this stuff, and we just had so much fun doing it. It was really fun, and truTV brought it in the room. So that's how we came up with the show for Impractical Jokers. We had been the Tenderloins comedy troupe for a long time, but finally hit with TV. Lindsay K asked, which punishments of yours were you most impressed the guys came up with? I just have fun with my punishments. I couldn't believe they did the callback of Bayamba. Rest in peace, buddy. When I was the massage chair. So they made me sumo wrestle Bayamba, which I thought was amazing. That whole sketch, that basically was just a sketch and was hysterical. And then then when I was the massage chair, they needed somebody big to come sit on the chair, and here came Bayamba, and he literally jumped onto my lap. I thought that was such a good idea for them to bring him back for that moment. So I really like that. At Jetta Raisin says, what is your favorite episode to film on Impractical Jokers? I love being receptionists. Us as receptionists is always a fun time. I love the receptionist challenge. I love Cranges, of course. But there's something about the receptionist challenges that are so fun. So I think that is probably the best. Yeah, I would say that. What was Darth at Darth646-80235? Is that your number? Ask, what's your favorite punishment that you created for each of the other Jokers? Good question. For Sal, it was the mind F one, where we didn't let Sal know that he was being punished, and we kept pretending that he was being punished and then stopping and made it all look coincidental. That was such a fun idea, really well executed. I love that one. I think for Q, it's one of the ones that we're filming this season. And for Murr, there's just so many to keep track of Murr. I mean, the guy gets punished every other day. It's hard to say which is my favorite for him that I came up with. And also came up with is kind of loose because we all chip in to really, one of us will have the idea, I guess, and then it all expands. But I mean, Murray's got so many fun ones. I think the Novocaine punishment was such a great idea and so well executed and such a good environment to put him in. I love that we made him be presenting about food. Like we had to think of a way for him to have to talk a lot and use his mouth. I think it was great. At Robin Thurkelson asks, we will ever get an episode of people reacting, finding out they're on a TV show? You won't get that. That's on our show. Our show is, we are the people that are getting tortured. You see our reactions all the time. So that's not what our show is about. We don't even really film those people, letting them know for the most part. Sometimes we see the special occasions, just people that really get hit, and we want to show them something really fun has happened with them. We'll show them they're on the show. But for the most part, people don't know they're on the show because we're just being weird, and they think we're crazy, and that's the exact thing we want the TV show to be. So I don't think you'll ever get that. You might get little pieces of it here and there, or maybe, I don't know if you'll get a full season of it. Mad Dog 1K, favorite costume ever on the show? Cole Von Cole. hands down. Danye did a great job. If you don't know, Danye is our costume designer of the stars on Instagram. He did such a good job with Cole Van Cole. I told him I wanted to be my version of Mr. Magoo, and he crushed it. So the thing for me is that Cole Van Cole was a character that I made up one night after me and Sal went out partying in Staten Island. He came back to my place and crashed, and we were playing video games or whatever, and it was like 4 a.m, and I made him laugh so hard they threw up in my bathroom. To see him come to life, because I always loved that character and it was always such a funny thing for me, and I just embraced it, and I just told Danya what I wanted, and Danya made it. So that's definitely my favorite costume on the show. It's definitely up there for me. The other one I think that crushed was when Murray was the vampire, and then he ended up being in the. That's the best punishment. Going back to that other question, what's my favorite punishment? That I created for the Jokers. It's Murray as the vampire. Is it getting harder to film because more people recognize you? Asks at twern207. Not really. The New York City helps because there's so many people that come through. I'm kind of forgettable, my face, so no big deal. I mean, we get recognized. We have stopped doing more of the team challenges when we're together behind a counter, like at the copyright, the copy place or the sandwich shop or whatever, when we're teamed together, because I could kind of look like that guy from TV. But then if I'm standing with Sal or Q and they're like, oh, that's Joe and Sal or Joe and Q. So we do less of that. I think that's the only real exception we had to make. So how long does it take to film an episode? At Cam1Lanet asks on Instagram. About 3 to 4 days. So we film 1 bit a day. There's anywhere from 2 to 3 bits and a punishment. So 3 to 4 days, depending on what's in the episode. For the most part, it's 3 days, because now we've really made the show be able, like if you look at the first seasons of Impractical Jokers, they are not even the same show. They are just quick hits. Like they were just punchline. You wouldn't even like sit and rest in the, relax in the weird. Like that's my favorite part of the show. Like we couldn't have our conversations and stuff. So if you look at the show, and we only have 22 minutes, right? 23 minutes. So everything gets cut down really, really quickly. I think the big part for when we got, in our current seasons now, we're able just to have like the 2 big episodes, 2 big ideas, and let the comedy really play out. So that's really my favorite part. At Gianna Bost 3 on Instagram asks, what's your favorite and least favorite season? Well, season 5 was atrocious. Casey said it best in the movie. My favorites are tied for season 3 and season 8. I really loved last season. I thought it was really good. I thought we did some good stuff. I would have to say I liked 5 too. I think 6 was I mean, and if you look back at it, I think 1 had some really iconic things that happened, but like I said, the show is completely different. I kind of liked it as it became more of a comedy show than just a punchline kind of feel. I really feel like you got to know us. So season 2, season 3, those were really great. At _Wope, what's a moment that made you the most uncomfortable? I say this all the time because it's easily, hands down, the one that's most uncomfortable. So I'll try to think of another one, so it's not always the same answer. But the Mets punishment where I was taking the balls and the mother yelled at me when I borrowed her child. So if you didn't see that episode, they had Noah Syndergaard, who's the star pitcher, throwing it before the game, signing baseball sword into the crowd. I had to catch everyone. He was in on it. I had to catch everyone and tell them that they could get the ball on eBay. So I'm stealing it from all these kids. There's a lady there with her child. I said, hey, let me borrow your kid. I could get you a ball. So she gives me her kid. I catch the ball. I give her kid back. I put the ball in the fanny pack. She flips out, starts yelling at me, and she's like, how dare you? And makes a huge scene, shuts down everything. Literally the whole stadium turned and looked at me. That was the most uncomfortable moment, hands down. Another uncomfortable moment. I didn't really get super uncomfortable. Oh, when they put the pretty girl across from me and I had to kiss her in front of my wife. That was weird. I took the loss on that one. That was smart. At nope.omst asks, what was your favorite part about making the movie? Making a movie, for sure. As you all know, I want to be a director. If you don't know that, that's my goal in life, is to direct a film. So to be on set, learning, seeing all that, working on my own film, I think that was a big thing for me. Learn about the movie, learn about how the process goes, and also being in the edit of a movie versus the edit of the TV show. That was really great. to bear down and do that stuff. The sound design and all that was really great. Really fun process. So I really love the movie. And working with Chris Hutchie was great. You know, he really let me jump in there and learn a lot about directing. So that was great. Favorite episode. Some of my favorite things. I mean, The Dentists is always fun. I love doing that stuff. I wonder. Oh, you know what? I like the stuff where we were trying to make each other laugh. And when we came up with the idea about the two-way mirror, that was really, really fun. I really liked doing that challenge too. So thank you so much, guys, for joining me tonight. I really, really appreciate you. I'm sending all the love and strength to you as much as I could spare for you to stay strong, stay positive, keep the faith that everything will be okay, and do what you can in your little world to stay safe, to stay healthy, and to stay sane.